welcome to Active Claremont's monthly Thursday night speaker series. I'm Russ Binder, the current president, for those of you who haven't been here before. Active Claremont, we try to bring only the best speakers to this forum, but this Thursday we had to make an exception. And the exception is, not only did we bring a good speaker, we brought four. We outdid ourselves by 400%. We have tonight the council member and the board of director for the Gold Line, Reece, and we have from the actual Gold Line group one of the top brass, Levy Buch, who Ed's going to introduce, and then she is going to introduce. She's going to bring up Corey, who's going to introduce two of the top brass folks from the Foothill Transit group. And please give a big Active Claremont warm welcome to Reece. Please.
Well, I tell you, I don't move like a butterfly and I don't sting like a bee. But I'm so happy to be here and present on the Gold Line. I'd like to bring up one of my partners in crime, if you will, and Levy Buch. She is our Chief Communications Strategies Officer for the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority. And tonight you have two different Foothill agencies. You know, the Foothill Gold Line and Foothill Transit. I am proud, and Corey, we're kind of like two ends of the book, if you will. I serve as shared as chair of the board for the Foothill Gold Line Authority Board, and I serve as an alternate board member for Foothill Transit. And Corey serves on the Foothill Transit Board on the executive committee as well, I believe, and he is an alternate for the Foothill Gold Line Joint Powers Authority. So we're kind of both ends of this tonight.
And because we both do our jobs, we never get to go to each other's meetings.
That's right. So we're going to run through some slides, but I'm going to give you a couple of other bits of information. I want to run through some informational slides. Where did Russ go? Do you want to do the questions after our presentation or after both?
I'm sorry, once again?
Questions after my presentation?
No, I would like to save all questions for the end so as to give our honored guests the most time for their presentation. If that's okay. Just
sure.
Everything, remember, till after the end, we'll go there.
Okay. So just let me start off by saying the Foothill Gold Line, the construction authority has been around, and Lisa will run through some of the slides, been around for now decades. And it came to pass originally in the early 2000s, if you will, and here we are now, over 25 years later. The whole project itself, at this point, is about a $4 billion agency, and so I am proud to be a part of it. I do want to acknowledge our former vice chair of the board and your former mayor, city council member, Sam Pedroza. So we're going to run through some slides, and then we'll take questions at the end. I know there's some questions around, hey, what's happening in San Bernardino, what's going on with Montclair. We'll address those at the end, and I'll have Lisa come up and run through some slides.
Thank you very much. So always great to be here. I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly. I'll go over the project that we just finished and then talk about the upcoming project here to Claremont. So the Foothill Gold Line is a 25-station system that we are responsible for. It's part of the growing network of rail lines in LA County. This map shows LA County's rail lines, and the circle is the one line that we're responsible for as an agency. As Ed said, the agency's been in place since the late 1990s, And we have, it was sort of an ugly divorce from Metro when we were put in place, but we have been building the project ever since. And we do it in, well, this is our board of directors, you know that guy over there on the end. I've seen him before. All of the people on our board are local elected officials from our corridor cities for the most part, so they really understand the issues that are facing us and bring up important points that are relevant from a city's perspective. So we're building it in phases. The first phase of the line from Union Station in downtown LA to Pasadena was completed in 2003. All of our phases have been completed on time and under budget, which we're very, very proud of. Once we completed the project to Pasadena, we began the planning for the 24-mile, what we called at that time the Foothill Extension. It's now called the Foothill Gold Line. Our line has changed colors, it's changed names, it's a little confusing. We are now part of the Metro A-Line system, as you saw on that first map. So because of money, we've had to build it in segments. So Pasadena to Azusa, once Measure R passed in 2008, we were the first light rail project ready to go, and we were able to take that money and build to Azusa. When Measure M passed in 2016, those are tax measures that we all pay for every time we buy anything in LA County. We again were first in line and ready to go, and we were able to break ground. We thought from Glendora, Azusa, out to Montclair. But we found that we didn't have enough funding to get all the way to Montclair, so we had to phase construction, Glendora to Pomona, and then Pomona east from there. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. We're building light rail. Light rail is electric powered. We're all very used to seeing the Metrolink system out here. Those are diesel powered trains. They're very different than light rail. Light rail runs almost 20 to 22 hours a day. It comes every 8 minutes during peak periods, every 16 minutes during off-peak periods. So you don't have to wait very long, and you can take it to get, as you saw on that map, pretty much anywhere you need to go in the county of Los Angeles. So Glendora to Pomona is the segment that we just completed, and it just opened for service. Okay, before I go into it, how many people have been on it yet? Who got it? Yes? Okay. Excellent. So you'll see that it's very close. The current terminus is at Gary and Bonita, basically, so about a mile from here. It's very easy to use. Happy to answer any questions about that. But we were able to, we started major construction from Glendora to Pomona right as the COVID pandemic was hitting, so right in about July of 2020, and we were able to complete it on time in January of this year, and it opened for service on September 19th. So these are the 4 stations that we just built. Glendora, it's close to their downtown area. This is what the station looked like when we were completed. Each station has art, which we kind of build pretty simple stations. Maybe I'll go back for a second just so you can see it. There's a large canopy, there's some seating, they're all center platforms, so you get on one platform and you either go eastbound or westbound from that one platform. But what makes our stations unique is the art, and the artists are selected by each of the cities, and the cities put a committee together to help to develop what the art would be for each of the stations. So, and it's just remarkable. So next time you're on the system, please give yourself a little extra time at every station. Look at the art. It's absolutely beautiful. Glendora was done by Michael Hillman. He's a local Glendoran, grew up in Glendora. He teaches at Citrus College. He created these tall 8-foot columns that have thousands of individual mosaic tiles on them. They're all very different and beautiful. And then he also hand created tiles that are on the canopy bases for the station platform. In San Dimas, the station is again right in sort of the downtown San Dimas area. This is what it looked like when we were completed. And I just watched a video that we're about to release. We're about to release 4 videos on the artists next week. And this one's especially great. They hand-carved 10-foot tall walking sticks that are very intricately carved. They also created these handmade tiles at the bottom of the canopy bases. Again, please take time to look at them. They're absolutely stunning. The artist team was Eugene Dobb and Ann Olson Dobb. They're a husband and wife team. Laverne Fairplex Station is right across the street from the Fairplex on Arrow Highway at Fairplex Avenue or East Street, depending on which side of the street you're looking at. This is what the station looked like when we were completed. And this is the art. Blue McWright is also a local artist. She took inspiration from water and from the citrus industry and the citrus ladders. So the squiggly lines of her sculptures are relate to sort of just water and just the symbol of water that's used all around the world, and then the put onto the citrus ladder sort of structure. And they're each on a base that are arrow shaped, relating to Arrow Highway, but also pointing to the Fairplex. One points to the Fairplex, one points to the University of Laverne, and one points to the Civic Center. And the current terminus of the line is at Pomona North. That is where people can transfer between our system, the Metro A line, and the San Bernardino line of the Metrolink system. So you can actually get off each of those systems, walk across a real quick path, and get onto the other system to continue your journey. This is what the station again looked like when we were completed. And when you watch this video, if you don't cry, I will be shocked. Stephen Farley is the artist for the Pomona station. During COVID, he asked for Pomonans to give him names and stories of fellow citizens from the city, either the past or present. He then selected 56 out of a couple hundred that were submitted to him, and he picked 56 to sort of represent the people of Pomona and the heroes of the city. And so he took their image, he put them onto tiles, and then he paired them with their statement, their power statement. Alejandro showed me the power of music, and they all have different powers.
One element is when you're there and you see those tiles and you stand in front of it, you'll see that the person's image will not, you won't reflect back off that image, but you will reflect back off of the blue tiles. And the reason for that is the artist has shared that he wants you to see yourself in that power moment. And so it's fascinating connection.
This was a wonderful day, September 19th, when we were able to open the line. Metro put on a big party at each of the stations, and it was a really wonderful day for our region. And this is stations today. People are riding it. I've only heard wonderful stories of what people are doing, utilizing the line to get where they need to go. Almost everyone I talk to at Village Venture, and you guys know that is like the craziest day of the year. We talked to hundreds of people that day, and almost all of them had been on it with their families or themselves and going to work or doing other things, and really have had really wonderful things to say. So Pomona to Montclair is the final piece of our work. We have now completed 23 of the 25 stations that is our responsibility as an agency. So we have Claremont and Montclair remaining to be done. Hold on, I can't read the slides, so let's make sure I'm not saying anything wrong. Let's see, or forgetting anything. We'll talk about the funding in a second. So last October, Metro gave us or awarded us $798 million to get from Pomona to Claremont. It was LA County money that the state had a surplus for a number of years, and they made us their #1 priority for any additional funding that we needed. So back in October, they gave us the right to use up to $798 million for the project.
I will add on the $798 million is that the Metro Board had ability to give those dollars anywhere in the county. And so we had to advocate and champion for those dollars to come to our area. And so those dollars were going to be expended one way or another, and somewhere in the county. And we were able to champion, get it assigned to this project.
Who's the guy in the yellow tie?
See?
I don't know. Pasta.
There was a great picture of Janice Hahn, County Supervisor Janice Hahn is in the Dodger jersey. They had just won the, I don't know if they won it back in October. Anyway, and she was on the ground signing the big check. Yeah, it was last year's when they did. Sorry, baseball. I'm a football person. You can see on my phone I'm watching the Bills game. Okay. So in September, also, in addition to opening the line for service, at the very beginning of the month, we had a very disappointing meeting with San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. At that time, we had been working very, very hard for many months to negotiate with them, to prepare, to get them to agree to be partners with us, as we knew we were starting to start the procurement to hire the folks to finish this project. And through that process, we learned, and on September 3rd at this meeting, they decided that at this moment they did not want to continue to negotiate with us. They took the funding that they had set aside for a long time, their local funding, they decided to put it towards potentially other things, and it was a very sad day for us. We had been working with them for decades, and they asked to be part of our project many years ago. So
yeah, I mean, I will share that with SBCTA. I mean, it may sound like this was a new ask. They have been aware of this relationship and saving these dollars for many, many, many years. So this was not new to them. I think the dynamics of the board has changed over the years. Keep in mind, SBCTA is all of San Bernardino County, and this project goes into what's known as the west end of San Bernardino County. But the board is made up of high desert people in other areas of the county, right? And so I can see why some others might think, oh, this doesn't, I don't get a benefit from this. But really, I think there's significant benefit for the people of LA County and San Bernardino County. And there's plenty of, we won't go in it, we will not talk about it in these slides, but there's plenty of benefits, both economically, in a situation where it's 3 to 1.
yeah.
So every dollar spent during operation returns $3 in economic development, economic.
I think during operations almost over $4 million for every million that they put in. Yeah.
Okay, so it makes economic sense, and it makes sense from a sustainability perspective for the environment. So more to come. I will. Do you have another slide of this? About Montclair?
Not about Montclair.
Okay. I will add that this has not ended here. That I have been working with the city of Montclair and my elected colleagues over there, and we are working together and collaborating on being as supportive as possible to their efforts to continue the project in Montclair. Yeah. So from my perspective, it has not ended. It's just been delayed.
Yeah. And it's our agencies.
We'll take the questions. Yeah.
What if you could share with us the priority that San Bernardino County believes is higher priority than the Gold Line Transit?
Well, I don't want to get too many questions because I know Russ wants to do questions at the end, but I will share this. The irony behind removing this funding from this project is that the board voted to provide the funding to Montclair for some other transportation project. So it wasn't about moving it somewhere else. They just kind of recolored it, as we say, in the elected space.
Do you think it was impacted by the upcoming Olympics?
No.
I don't believe so.
Be nice to know a little more about that.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay, so let me just go over, hold on, sorry. We can talk about the schedule. So, right now, we literally just got the proposals in. So, our agency is going to have 2 contracts to get us to Claremont. We're going to hire a design engineering team, and then we're going to hire a construction manager to support that. The construction manager is going to come on a little bit after the engineers start to do the design. They're going to help make sure that the design is constructible. They're going to be responsible for telling us how much it's going to cost, to finding ways to keep the cost down, to make it as efficient as possible. And then when the design gets to about an 80 to 90% completion, so when the construction folks can really understand every aspect of the project, they will then give us a bid for building the project. And if it fits what we have available, we will be able to allow them to build the project to Claremont. So we'll know a little bit more in the years ahead. We have already received the proposals from the engineers, the engineering teams. We're evaluating those right now. We expect to have them hired in January. At the same time, we're going to put out the RFP, the request for proposals, for the construction manager. And we expect to have them hired in May of next year. So we are just getting going on the Claremont segment. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what to expect. This is sort of the scope of work in the city of Claremont. It's about a little under 2.5 miles. We share the corridor with the Metrolink and the freight system. So we need to move them over. Their track is right in the middle of our right-of-way. We're going to have to relocate their track. At the same time, we're going to be relocating the Claremont Metrolink station from the west side of College Avenue to the east side of College Avenue. And I can answer questions about why that does, but it benefits Indian Hill. It benefits a lot of things. We are also going to be building bridges for just the light rail system over town, Garytown, and then Indian Hill. So we have 3 bridges to build. And then we will be improving everything under the street on all of the crossings, as well as everything above the street. So all the underground utilities will be upgraded and protected, as well as everything above the ground. So when we are done, we leave these cities brand new, ready for the next generation to use. Okay. So right now, the Metrolink station is basically where you see the Gold Line station, on the yellow station, to the west of College Avenue. We're going to be moving the Metrolink station to the east side over here, right near where the parking is. We are going to be we're going to be signalizing First Street at College, First Street at Columbia, and making other improvements throughout the area. Just talked about the shared corridor again. We're going to share the rail corridor, but we can't share. It's different types of systems. The light rail system has the overhead catenary, the electrical power system. They use different size tracks, so they don't share tracks and they don't share stations. This was the city's designed bridge that will be going over Indian Hill. The city wanted it to be very, very sleek. And so this is now part of the design that the engineers will be integrating into the project. And as with the other stations we talked about, Joyce Cole was selected as the artist from the city selected her a number of years ago. Her theme is thinking outside the box. She's going to create a very large sculpture that will be near the parking facility at the corner of First and College. And it's going to have a lot of symbols and languages, and it's going to be, as you can see here, this is a mock-up of what it'll look like. Be very bright and beautiful. In terms of the permanent changes that'll be happening in the city, of course, there'll be a bridge over Indian Hill. That's again just for the light rail system. So the freight track and the Metrolink track will remain at street level. So those will continue to cross Indian Hill at street level. However, the 200 trains a day or up to 200 trains a day that'll be coming from the light rail system will go over the street and not have to stop traffic. Santa Fe Street, which is just to the south of the right-of-way there, is going to be one way. We're going to be adding those, making improvements and adding traffic signals. As I said, talked about that. We will do, when we come in again, when we build everything up new, but we also improve all the safety. So right now, if you're on College and the Metrolink is coming, you have one gate that comes down, and then on the other side of the street, one gate goes down. And I've seen kids on skateboards decide to go ignore the fact that the gates are down and just keep going. I've seen cars try to get around. So we block off that intersection with what we call quad gates. We have 4 gates that come down to stop all traffic on the street, and we have stuff on the sidewalks as well to stop pedestrians from crossing when a train is coming. So the improvements, the safety improvements are extensive. We also, of course, have sound walls and fencing throughout and other things that have to happen for safety. And we are, I think, known for our community outreach. It's not just because it's under my department, but also, we just don't want anybody to be surprised by construction. So if you are not already, I encourage you to get on our list to just stay updated on the project, and this is how you can do that. And then we'll answer any questions after our next presenters.
Excellent. Corey.
Thank you, Ed and Lisa. And I just want to add, because it's come up before when they're talking about the enhancements of the gates along the line, when that occurs in Claremont, it will provide us the opportunity, because someone asked us about this, to actually pursue a quiet zone through Claremont, where the trains aren't honking their horns. And so that has been one thing that we've been, waiting for in terms of, this final phase coming through Claremont. So something I can share with you. I'm Corey Kalaikai. Of course, I've served for 19 more days as your mayor, but more relevant to this organization, I'm a past president and I'm actually the founder of Active Claremont. This past June, Active Claremont celebrated its 31st anniversary here in the city. And I want to thank you all for being here, because this is one of the best turnouts we've had in a while. And this is the way the organization was in the past. We used to have a lot of folks, and we've always prided ourselves on great presentations. And coming up this next year, Linda Malby's working with John Scott and others that are going to be on the board, and Russ is going to continue as past president. And we're going to work to continue to bring this level of programming to you. So look forward to seeing you back at future meetings. The nature of this presentation goes back several years. We had a transportation evening forum, and we had Foothill Transit, we had Pomona Valley Transit Authority, and others. So that's where tonight, in addition to having Ed and Lisa, I'm very honored to have Foothill Transit here today. As was mentioned, I serve on the executive board, also the governing board representative, and I have to acknowledge Sam Pedrosa again, because he is the representative for one of the county representatives to our governing board of Foothill Transit. And again, Ed is my alternate when I choose to let him come to the meeting, which is very rare, like he lets me go to his meeting. So with that, I would like to introduce tonight LaShawn King Gillespie. LaShawn is our Deputy Chief Executive Officer for Foothill Transit. She's worked for Foothill Transit now for almost 20 years. Wow. And then Joe Raquel equally, he's our Planning Director. He oversees the bus routes, and IT is another of his areas of responsibility with Foothill Transit. He's been with the organization 18 years, so they've both been with the organization for a long time. One thing about Foothill Transit that I have to say, our employees generally stay for a long time, and sometimes they even leave, but a lot of times they even come back, because one thing about Foothill Transit is that our executive director always says that we're always operating on the bleeding edge of things. We really try to take a lead in implementing technology in our operations, and so they're going to talk a little bit about that today. We have the largest fleet of hydrogen electric buses in at least in North America, maybe even in the world. You can correct me on that, LaShawn and Joe. But we had the first all-electric bus system, the 291, that ran up and down Gary Avenue. So we've been leaders in that technology, and as a result, particularly our executive director and some of our members of our executive team have had the opportunity to even go around the world and present in I believe Denmark was one, and Doran went to the World Bank to talk to them about a lot of the technology that we've utilized in Foothill Transit. So very proud to share that with you as I introduce LaShawn King Gillespie and Joe Rockall to give you an update on Foothill Transit. Take it away.
And again, thank you all so much for this invitation. We're very pleased to be here on behalf of our CEO, Doran Barnes, who does send his regrets this evening. But he did want me to extend to you his regards and say hello and tell you how excited we are to be here this evening. As Lisa and Ed were given their presentation, this has not been kicked by our marketing department yet. But the theme that I came up with in my head just reminded me of a Dr. Seuss book. Oh, the places we will go. But I'm going to add to that. Oh, the places we will go where the train can't currently go. That's what the integration that we're working on. The trains cannot go into some of the smaller streets, some of the smaller areas within our communities. And the integration, which Joe is going to talk about a little later, is going to kind of explain to you some of the plans we have and the work that we're doing in conjunction with the A-Line, as well as some of our other transit partners. But I'm going to start by just giving a little bit of background, because it was in the late 1980s where a group of community leaders had a vision. They wanted to create improved transit opportunity for our communities, and they developed the JPA, that is now Foothill Transit, 37 years later. So it was a group of individuals, I would imagine something like this, who came together because they believed in public transportation and wanted to have that quality, a high quality level of public transportation in their community. So in 37 years later, in 37 years from now, who knows? We might look back on tonight to say, all right, it all started here. And Corey, I think we're going to have to name something after you and Ed and Sam and everyone. Just a little bit more about Foothill Transit. This year, we were able to provide 9 million rides to people who work, live, and are educated in the San Gabriel and Pomona valleys of Southern California. Our service population is 2 million. So those numbers don't exactly match, because we are bringing people in from other communities to your community, to our communities, by using public transportation. So we do that. Our service area is 327 square miles. That's huge, right? And we also have service that goes into downtown Los Angeles. So we have our 30 local routes and our 6 express routes that go into downtown Los Angeles. As Corey mentioned, we use 286 CNG buses, but we do have a very strong commitment to sustainability. And for that, we are using a number of zero-emission buses because we want our environment to be clean. I grew up in Riverside. I grew up during the time where I could not go outside because of the smog alerts for recess. So it brings me great pride when I am able to speak just excitedly about how we're making a commitment to our environment and making sure that we're creating a legacy for the generations to come with clean air. So with that, we do have 33 hydrogen fuel cell buses. And Corey, up until last week, I found out we're up there, but I think we might be losing a little bit. We might not be the highest. Someone may be beating us by like 2 buses for right now. Only for right now, because we do have an order of 19 more, which will take us over the top, of hydrogen fuel cell buses, which for a long time was the largest fleet of that technology in the country, or in the States, as well as 2 battery electric double-deck buses. How many of you have seen our double-deck buses? Oh my gosh, they are the only 2 battery electric double-deck buses in the country right now. And a few more, I think they're going online probably next year. We are ordering another 24 of those. Those are high capacity coaches, which will replace some of the big articulated buses that you currently see. But those will be operated using electric propulsion systems, which for me, as you can tell, I'm a little excited all the time, but I'm a little excited about that as well. And we still do have we have 17 of our regular battery electric single deck buses that you will see on that Route 291. As Corey explained, that was the first all electric route in the country when we implemented that about 15 years ago. So we're very proud of that. So in a few minutes, like I said, Joe is going to talk about a lot of the integration that we're doing with the Gold Line, with our other transit partners, as with working with the cities, all of our communities as well. And I have to stop because I have to pause because we cannot do all of this without the more than 1,500 team members that we have working amongst the Foothill Transit family of companies. And when I think about it, we talk about the buses all the time. We talk about the technology, but it's the people. It's your community, our communities that are providing that service. So with that, Joe, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, LaShawn. So LaShawn's right. We really can't do this service without our community partners. We work closely with the cities, work closely with the public works staff, with Claremont and all the cities where we provide service, and we work very closely with the folks at Gold Line. So they're a very crucial partner. But way back in March 2016, as Lisa mentioned, Gold Line Extension 2A started. And that was the second extension, which went from Sierra Madre Villa, terminating east over at APU Citrus College. That was very good. And then you see the various stations you had in between. And right now, we've got 10 lines that connect or are adjacent to the original 2A stations. When the service first came about, we made many changes. We had to change some of the routing. For instance, line 187, which is a line that goes from Pasadena all the way to Montclair, we cut that in half right at Azusa, downtown Azusa. So you have 187 to the west, which now goes from Pasadena to Azusa, and then to the east you have 188, which goes from Azusa to Montclair. And when the Gold Line came about, we were expecting the ridership to be lower on the west side, but surprisingly, the ridership maintained on the west side. So kind of like what LaShawn said, we go places that the train can't go. Because of the spacing between stations, people still would take the bus to get closer to their initial to their final destination. So it's very important that we work close together to get people where they want to go. So this is a line extension 2B, which opened in September. I think I have a animation here. So as Lisa mentioned, we have Glendora, San Dimas, Laverne, and Claremont. I'm sorry, Pomona. And when the service started in September, we launched line 295, leveraging on our student ridership. Student ridership really plays a big part for Foothill Transit. Student ridership is about 10% of our ridership. So we figured, why not leverage the Gold Line and take students or faculty or staff directly to the colleges. So on September 15th, we launched line 295, which 20-minute frequency, which starts at the San Dimas Gold Line station and takes students or customers directly to Cal Poly Pomona and Mount Sac. So that's 20-minute frequency that happens throughout the day, and it's been pretty successful. We've had people saying, now that we have this connection, you've taken about an hour out of my normal bus time. So this partnership is very near and dear for us.
Joe, are you mentioning the ClassPass programming you were to maybe just tie that in relative to the significance of this?
Yes. With Cal Poly Pomona, we do have the Foothill Transit Class Pass program, which is a student program. Students actually pay for their passes with their student fees. We also have the Class Pass program with the Claremont colleges, University of Laverne. Oh, my mouse act is better. Yeah. No, not the.
There's many class pass programs. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So definitely, we're really leveraging our students to help boost ridership.
And then that pass allows them unlimited rides within
The Foothill Transit service area. Yes. And the theory behind that is if we can get you using public transit while you're in college, you may use it when you start your new job or your regular job, because a lot of us don't like to sit in traffic. Wouldn't it be easier just to sit on a bus and have someone else drive you to downtown LA if you're going there? So that's the theory behind the Class Pass. So here's a line extension 2B. So we have line 284, which is adjacent to the Glendora station, not too far from the platform. And then San Dimas Station, we have two lines. We have line 492, which travels along Foothill Boulevard. It's literally just a block away. It's very close between the actual bus stop and the actual train platform.
It's Bonita.
Bonita. Yeah. And the Pomona Station, we actually take our line 291, which is the all-electric route, into the turnaround over at the Pomona Station. So we're taking our customers directly to the station. So right now we're connecting to 3 of the 4 stations. We are working with the cities of Laverne to get us into the Laverne station. And so right now we have 13 lines that connect or interface with the Gold Line, which is about a third of our service. So we are definitely connecting. And one thing that, for those of you that are current Foothill Transit riders, we do have a detour going on right now. We're detouring line 188. So you see the red kind of dotted line? That's the original routing. But because of the construction going on here at the McKenna colleges, I believe they're building a sports field.
Well, more importantly, a tunnel or an arcade to connect the west side of the campus with the sports complex. So that that's why right now you've all noticed Claremont Boulevard is closed at 9th Street to the north and at 6th Street to the south, so that they can build that tunnel, if you will. And it's a 9-month project, so that's why we routed the bus in the meantime while they complete that project. And then at the same time, Claremont Boulevard is going to have improvements. And I know, particularly that one bus stop up near the corner of Foothill and Claremont Boulevard that has some ADA issues. We're going to get that corrected, so there's better access for customers boarding the bus. And there's going to be a traffic signal added, I believe it's at 9th Street, which will allow us to have a northbound bus stop for the 188, which right now there's not. There's a southbound bus stop at that corner, but not northbound. So now they'll be able to, students can catch the bus going both ways once that project is completed. So this is going to be a good project overall. It's going to make things better, better connections for the colleges, and better opportunities to board the bus along Claremont Boulevard.
So that's in the works right now, or that's actually in service right now. So instead of coming down instead of coming down Claremont, we're traveling Foothill all the way down Monte Vista and then back on 6 and then back on the regular route. So that's going on now. And that concludes my presentation. I guess we'll get the group back together and we'll answer some questions. Thank you.
I have a question. So I used the Metrolink for 24 years between Claremont and LA. And then I used the Gold Line from between Pasadena and LA for about 6 months. So I have a little bit of experience. So my question, I was curious about why you're planning to move the Metrolink to the east of College right? And then having the Metro A, whatever it's called now, you know, at the Claremont station. And my rationale behind that is the frequency of people and the train coming through is going to be coming through every 8 minutes. So you got a lot of people walking from that parking lot, right, on the east of College. Whereas Metro Line, they don't come that frequently. You have to have more volume. But I'm just trying to think about the rationale behind that.
Yeah, there's a number of things that we can share around that, but I'll tell you one benefit that I like about moving it over. A simple benefit is how many of us have been stuck in Indian Hill when the gates are down? All of us have for a long time. And by moving the Metrolink station down to the new location, it will not be, Indian Hill will not be impacted in that way. When the train's in the station, Metrolink's in the station, those gates are down for safety reasons. The Metrolink will run through the station to its own new station, and those gates will only drop temporarily and come back up. In regards to the A-line, the A-line will come over the top of Indian Hill, so there's no traffic obstruction over the top of Indian Hill. In regards to the parking and et cetera, one thing I'll share is, from my perspective as a council member, I like the frequency of the A-line. I like that people are going to come because I want them to come into the village. So when they do come, they come off the platform right there in our village and come in and shop, dine, and visit our other centers, our other commercial centers. So I personally like that for our community and for the sales tax generation. There's a lot of other logical reasons behind doing this, and I'll let Lisa add anything else.
I think that really summarizes the big ones. People who take Metrolink, obviously they come to the station in the morning, they park, they get on the train and they leave for the day. And so bringing that station closer to the parking is just makes it easier for that purpose. But as Ed said, the A-line, people are coming on the train, some of them are parking, but many of them are going to be just utilizing the train, and so having that station closer to the village to the village easily is, I think, why the city wanted us was supportive of that idea.
I do have one follow-up. So, I don't know what the security is like on I remember Gold Line. Now, this is back in 2013, between LA and Pasadena. It was bad. Security was bad. I mean, the type of people we had on that train, it was scary. I'm a big dude, so I can handle myself. But I was scared for a lot of people on that train. So I don't know what security is like anymore. So coming into Claremont, that's what the first thing I thought about is the type of people who are coming into Claremont. They're going to be coming off that train, into the village. Have you guys thought that through?
Yeah, so let me just share that once we build the station, we hand it over to the operator. The operator is LA Metro, but Metro will operate it. I can tell you it is on the mind of many of the Metro leaders to address security. Security is far different today than it was in 2013. Part of those enhancements to security are including developing fare gate systems that are much taller, that would not be fare gates that you could jump. And you would have to tap to enter and tap to exit. It's also enhancing video and physical security around the station platforms. Additionally, adding ambassadors. They added ambassadors. They added Metro security officers. And of course, they have law enforcement officers for our region, our area, the LA County Sheriff. But the beauty is they are so focused on security that they are now starting their own Metro Police Department so that they can have officers hyper-focused on the safety and security of all of the transit systems under Metro's control. So there's a lot going on around security, and I can tell you that I have direct communication, ongoing direct communication with the new Metro Chief of Police and the Metro Deputy Chief of Police, and we have been talking before the Metro Chief came in this year, and the Deputy Chief has been around for a number of years, and I've actually already been in conversation with him for a number of years on some ideas around safety and security on the transit system, and of course, one of my areas of focus is Claremont, and figuring out how we can make sure that when it does come to Claremont and go into Montclair, how do we deal with that safety and security? And he and I have been collaborating for a number of years on it.
You know, if I can just add, you know, I do ride the A line once a month now, especially now that it's to Laverne. I have a Clean Power Alliance board meeting in LA once a month, so I've been using it. And those gates that Ed's referring to are installed at the Pomona and Laverne stations. So if you ride it now, you'll have a chance to actually see that for yourself. You know, there's always a few characters on the train, but there is a much higher security presence I'm noticing now, especially, you know, during COVID and coming out of COVID, it was weak. But the big thing, of course, one of you mentioned the Olympics coming up, and one of the things is, you know, there's a lot of talk right now that they really want people to use public transit come the Olympics. And so it is, you know, it's on them right now to get the system working better and, you know, to feel safer and cleaner to people, because if they want people to be using it at the Olympics, they need to start now getting people to use it, because people aren't going to just switch over months before the Olympics. So I'm noticing that they're taking serious action, but, you know, I try to ride to, you know, be able to give feedback to Ed, and I would encourage any of you to ride it. And if you have bad experiences, do let Ed or me know, because we need to get that back to them, because these are things they need to address again if they want people to feel comfortable using it come the Olympics.
And I'll tell you, as part of the security enhancements, the last 4 stations we opened, so Pomona, Laverne, San Dimas, and Glendora, all have the enhanced doors, enhanced fare gates, and that really came in later, so that we were in the middle of construction, and that change was made. Azusa does not have them. Some of the other stations does not have them. I will tell you that my other leadership role that I have is I'm president of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. For those of you that don't know what a council of governments is, think of a council of councils. All the city councils of 31 cities send a delegate to this body. It is a sub-region governing agency. I also serve as chair of transportation. In that role, I am pushing to get all those other stations that did not have these enhancements, pushing to get those enhancements in place for those stations as well. I think Jim, and then we'll jump to this.
Thank you. First of all, I'm a real public transport advocate. For the last 4 years of my working life, I took Metrolink into Union Station, and then recently I had to get to the City of Hope, and Freeway 210 was blocked. I said, I got to get there reliably for my doctor's appointment. I took Metro twice. Once early in the morning, back and forth, and once late at night. So I am really happy that it is tied in at Pomona, because you have all those people, including Claremont and Montclair people, who can just jump on the Metrolink. It's 75 cents to get from Claremont to the Pomona North Station. You get off, you just go north, and you're onto the Metro. So you have now linked in Metrolink and all of San Bernardino County with your northern loop there. So that's fantastic. You also have the buses. You have the one where they pull in next to the Metro station, but you don't have your 2 east-west buses, which also come from Metrolink, from Montclair Transit Center, through the Claremont Transit Center, 197 and 492. They should pull in there, because when you look at what buses are available as a rider, you don't see anything about getting to Claremont or Montclair. And you could do that very easily. And the riders would use their own tap card, right? And within a 2-hour transfer, it would actually be free to get to Claremont and to Montclair. So there's no lack of connection right now to Claremont and Montclair. And the last statement I'm going to say is more challenging, and that is $800 million is one whopping amount of money. So in my company, if I wanted them to invest in my plant, I had to show them my return on investment. And if you take 800 million and you put it in a bank and you get only 4% interest, that's $32 million per year. That is what public money we're tying up in just extending it 2.3 miles to Claremont. I do not see the payback. So I would really like to have it analyzed now, again, the payback of just getting it to Claremont. Because when San Bernardino says we don't want it, and we want to connect our Rancho station, which is going to be a terminus for a high-speed rail to Las Vegas, they want to connect that to the airport, not Montclair. So I think this is going to be a dead end here at the end of for the foreseeable future. And if you do think you're going to take it to the Ontario, well then cost out the whole thing and tell us where you're going to get that $2-3 billion, whatever it is, and then go further. But I would not put $800 million into extending it 2.3 miles.
So I appreciate your comments. I think there's a number, if you looked at it in a singular focus, it may not make sense to some degree for some perspectives, but this is bigger than the singular focus. What I did not share earlier in regards to SBCTA is there are plenty of elected officials in cities, including the City of Ontario, and council members, including the mayor of the City of Ontario, that wants to bring the Gold Line to the Ontario Airport. So this is much larger at the end of the day. You have to have a vision, and you have to be able to think beyond the moment and beyond the singular opportunity on what is possible in the future. And you don't get to Ontario Airport if you don't get to Claremont and you don't get to Montclair. So I hear your concern, and I hear what you're saying. I think the other element to that is, frankly, I'd rather have the $800 million spent in Claremont and Pomona in our region than spent somewhere else on the west side. And we get, in my community and my residents get no benefit. And so I'd rather spend those dollars here for the benefit of my community than somewhere else in the county. So I think there's a number of things. I know I'm missing some other elements.
I just want to say, and I'm happy to come back in the early part of next year. We have an economist currently reviewing what the benefit economically will be to connecting to Claremont. And so I'm happy to come back and give you the results. We'll have those, I think, very early in the year, and I'm happy to come back and share.
The other question that came up was the connections from Claremont. The 492 actually connects at the San Dimas station. So you can pick up 492. It's a little bit further over. It's not the closer ones. And I will address that because the problem is there was some lack of coordination in terms of the design of the bus drop-off areas. And so in particular, Laverne, the turnaround is not wide enough for our buses to make that turn, to be able to turn around at the station there and come out. And that's what's holding up at the moment 197. We're trying to work, I believe it's now with Metro, is trying to correct the turnaround there at the Laverne station, and that will allow us to bring the 197 in there and then for it to go back and continue on down White Avenue. So it's still in process. That's not a done deal. In the short term, though, 492, you take it a little bit further over, but it has a cleaner connect into the San Dimas station. So
I think we need to sell the public that you can get on 492 and end up at Gary and Bonita, or you can take the 197 and end up at Arrow and Gary, and you can walk right over. But it'd be nice to have buses actually pull in there, and you would have connection to Claremont and Montclair, which is the point of this entire extension. And people could come to the end of Metro, walk over for 75 cents, be in Claremont.
I will share that one other element that is in, and I don't have the numbers with me, but I'm sure we can figure it out. But what those are. But the more you have to transfer, the less people use
Less likely people
to use the system. So that's the reason why they're building the train to Las Vegas, because there's no transfer. It's a bullet train. You get on, you get off, and so there's a number of benefits there.
Yep.
I'm getting the hook from
Well, I
Russ.
just want us to be careful. We do need to maybe have a couple more questions, and that'd be it.
I do want to expand on that because that is an important point, and that's the one thing. I don't know. I didn't hear. Maybe you did mention it. That this is now the longest light rail line in the whole world, running from Pomona to Long Beach, and that's a one-seat ride. Is the beauty of it. You don't have to transfer trains. That's why I use it to go to LA, because I can get on at the Laverne station, which is the closest to where I am, up at the top of Fruit Street, and I can go straight to Metro Center on one train and get off right there and walk to my meeting. So that's the beauty of what we have right now with the A line.
I think you were.
Yeah, Bill, I think you were next.
Okay, hopefully make it quick. A little piggybacking on Jim, but I noticed that the Gold Line is parallel to Metro from Laverne all the way to Claremont. Could you piggyback with them rather than building new, go with them?
It's a great.
And for Corey, you're running hydrogen, you're running electric. What are the charge times and what are the ranges? And what are the costs of those puppies compared to our conventional? That's it.
All right, so let me answer your question in regards to paralleling with MetroLink. When you rode the MetroLink, where did you ride from and to?
What did the what?
When you were on the MetroLink, where did you go from and to?
From Claremont to Union Station.
Did you stop anywhere in between?
I went took on went on the red line to downtown LA.
Okay, but in between, when you got on the MetroLink, you got on one place, got off one place.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, and that is the type of MetroLink rider that MetroLink has. It is it's really a commuter, someone that's going to jump on and get off in Union Station. That is it. That is their whole experience, and it's different than a rider that's riding the Gold Line or the A Line. That is could be a commuter, it could be a student, it could be an individual that wants to visit, shop, dine. It's a different style of rider. Additionally, the costs are different. If you take a MetroLink ride from here to Union Station, I think it's $14.
Yeah.
$14
Each way?
each way. And if you take a ride on the A Line, if you're not a senior or a student or income qualified, it's $1.75 or less.
Yeah, but fair policy is something that you, decision makers, can change. That's really not excusable to be using that as your defense.
I appreciate your comment.
And with the tap to exit, we may very well end up with distance-based fares on Metro. Don't be surprised.
So I appreciate your comments. But to get back to your question, so it's really a different type of commuter. It's a different type of commuter, a different type of rider, and really it's a different experience altogether. But you have more to add?
Yeah, and just the service is the number of trains a day is very different. So Metrolink is trying to get to every half an hour, having a train leave the system. Right now, trains go every hour during the off-peak and about, I think, every 20 minutes during a few peak hours of the day. So they're trying to get it to what they call like a clock base, where every half an hour a train will come. But they need to double track between White and Lone Hill. They have some work that they need to do in order to get that to happen. And so, again, as I said earlier, the A line comes every 8 minutes during peak periods and every 20 minutes during 16 minutes, during off-peak periods. So it's just a very different, a different option.
And the other thing too on the A line is it runs approximately 22 hours a day. You won't again. The Metrolink is taking those commuters, so it's really limited service throughout a 24-hour period. It is a diesel vehicle as well versus the electrified A-Line. I know you had
but the technology is the thing. Let me try to answer this as quickly as possible. For one thing, we all know to advance technology is expensive, especially first prototypes. So it's inevitable that early on you're going to pay something. I think the one thing that our organization, because we've demonstrated that we're willing to take the risk and run these technologies and test them out and share our experience with others, because of that, we've been extremely successful in getting grants. And can you give the number of the total of grants that we received, federal grants, some state grants too?
Look, ARCHES was $64 million. For our TIRCP is in the $30 million range.
Yeah.
So so the majority of the bus costs that we've been seeing have been defrayed by the difference between CNG and electric or hydrogen. We've been able to bring that down significantly because of the competitive grants that we've been able to bring to the region.
And to Ed's point, I want to make the point, these grants are there. You may not agree with them, you may not like them, but our federal and state representatives have them there. So we can sit and let someone else take it, or we can invest it in our community. And that's what we've done. We've taken it here to Foothill Transit, and that's where we have a premier service where our employees are proud to work and they stick with us and even come back, because these are the kinds of exciting projects we do. And I give our staff a lot of credit. They execute things very, very well.
So we do have to clear this room before 8:30. We have a two more minutes for Daryl's question.
Two things. One, after Claremont, the main piece of it is education. What a great presentation. Great. Really great. But to build on your piece with the economist, why don't we call tonight's meeting phase 1 meeting, with phase 2 coming, because to build on what Jim's saying, which is if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And obviously there's a sincere belief that this is going to make economic sense. So for the economist to come in and really make the case would be awesome.
I'd be happy to come in and present the results.
And then at the same time, security. For some reason, Metrolink riders have had the feedback I keep getting over the decade, a wonderful experience compared to the others for some reason. And it's nice that you're talking about that's all being taken seriously, because I think this will absolutely succeed, or the other thing, based on security. That's it. Okay, if you don't have people feeling safe, I mean, I got a 6'3", very intimidating soul right here. It's not scary, okay? But sincerely, I think it's gonna be critical. So perhaps part 2, they have the great presentation. The overview is fantastic. Yeah. But get into the, does it make financial sense? And then are people going to be safe? Because we go down that rabbit hole, my whole thing, one question I had, because I want a compounding question like Bill, right, has 3 pieces. If it is the end, is it a mandatory everybody off? Yeah. It will be?
With
the gold line, or can they continue to move?
They are, one, I would, in my perspective at this point in time, it's not a mandatory end for us. It's not.
All miners don't have to evacuate?
No, excuse me, my apologies, in regards to what I believe you're saying, if this is the end of the line.
Correct.
Permanent end of the line.
Yes.
I do not believe that at this point in time, that that's going to be the case. But
right.
To answer your question, Metro is, I think, testing out an idea to basically bring riders back through the system so they aren't left at the end of the line. And so they are looking at a system like that. Just real quick to touch on your security question on that, I will tell you my mantra to my contacts at Metro is you want more riders, it's about safety, security, and cleanliness. And so that is my mantra to them, and that I keep communicating to them, and how we're going to increase ridership.
I want to say on security, I want to speak for Foothill Transit. So, one thing, Doran is also a great leader, and one of the things that he did is for our security chief, he brought in a retired police chief, John Curley, former police chief of Covina. So the guy has knowledge that an average security guy doesn't always have. And he also has knowledge of grants that a lot of those folks don't have. And so he's got great contacts in law enforcement because of that. So we have a top-notch guy handling our security. We have always taken pride in having clean buses. So we talk, there's a lot of emphasis on the A line today, but I would encourage folks also to give Foothill Transit a try. And we take the feedback very seriously. So, please let us know what your thoughts are. You can even add Sam into telling Sam, because he's on the board too, what your thoughts are about Foothill Transit.
And you should give it a try, because they're really great buses, and I had the pleasure of driving one, actually. Okay. It was a closed area.
We won't talk about my driving.
All right, Russ?
Okay, thank you. And I mean thank you to you all. My only regret here for tonight is the meeting couldn't be longer, and I think when we have such a stellar group of speakers, we're gonna aim for a longer meeting.
Yeah.
Your questions are spot on, very good questions, very well informed, and I think, there's probably more of them. I'm gonna ask that if you like, and if the speakers would like, to leave their cards. I had a little holder out in front. If you have other questions that you could email to them directly, would that be acceptable?
Yeah. Great.
Okay. Because I think, you know, everybody wants to know, and this is a great.
No one has business cards anymore. We'll just send everything to Ed.
Just ask Ed.
Let's have one more big round of applause for our guests. You know more about it than
Okay, well, maybe Linda, because Linda, I think is where we're going. Do you want to talk briefly, Linda, on what you've got going for January already?
Sure. We are looking at having a homeless housing forum. Right now, we have two cities willing to step up and speak. We have Ontario and Glendora. And I want to talk to you about whether the other two might make it or not. So, but if we have two, that's great. And like we had two today, and it seemed to fill up our time. So maybe that's the right number. But they're going to be sharing with us what they have done in their cities about homeless housing and their successes, their struggles, and what we can glean from their experience. So it should be a really good meeting.
Okay, and keep your eye on our website, activeclaremont.org, where we're going to be way more diligent about putting what's coming up on the what's coming up page. Okay? Thank you all, and good night, and thank you for coming.